Hey there, welcome to Drew Bentley Guitar. Today we're going to take a look at 2-5-1 progressions. A lot of students ask me, what is a 2-5 and why do I need to learn it and how does it work, etc., etc. Students ask me all the time what this is and how it applies to playing jazz and how to play over these chord changes. So what a 2-5-1 is, it's the 2 chord and the 5 chord of any given key, all right? So in the key of G, for example, if G is the 1 chord, A minor is the 2 chord, B minor is the 3, C is 4, D is 5, E minor is 6, and this F sharp diminished is 7. And that's when you look at triads. If we add a 7th to it, we have a major 7 for 1, a minor 7 for 2, a minor 7 for 3, a major 7 for 4, a dominant chord for 5, a minor 7 for 6, and then a half diminished for 7. And back to 1 again. So we're kind of extending that root 3rd, 5th, and then adding the 7th at the top as well. All right, so in a chord, a key of music, we have 1, 4, 5, and those are your primary chords. Secondary chords would be 2, 3, and 6, and those are minor. So primary or major, and except for the 5 chords dominant, and then the minor chords for 2, 4, and 6. So the way this works, this is important as a kind of a precursor here. If we look at the way that jazz tunes cycle through rhythm changes, you've heard of the circle of fifths before, the elusive circle of fifths. Well, when I was in school, they taught us the circle of fifths, but they never really talked about the circle of fourths, and that's more important than the circle of fifths. The circle of fourths puts everything going backwards, and what happens is the keys of jazz actually cycle through the circle of fourths. Let's say, for example, you start on the key of C has no sharps or flats, F has 1 flat, B flat has 2 flats, E flat has 3 flats, and you can continue on through all the keys, stacking these perfect fourths, and then you end up going through all the keys. So if I go like this, if I go, you can hear it cycling. It's pretty interesting how that works, huh? So it's an amazing tip when you're practicing playing through 2-5-1s because you can go up a 4th or down a 5th when you're doing these, and that makes it so much easier to start to play through these changes. So rhythm changes are 1, 6, 2, 5. That's adding the 6 chord in there as well. We can also go 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 and go 1 further through these changes. So rhythm changes you've heard before, like I've Got Rhythm or Flintstones. It's 1, 6, 2, 5. And that's what we will learn how to kind of navigate that. So let's say, for example, we're going to play, let's play in the key of C. D minor to G7 to C major 7. So there's a lot of pop songs that are just that. They're like that song from Maroon 5. It's just 2-5-1 kind of indefinitely through that chord change. So to solo over that, what we want to do is try to do this kind of bebop-y solo thing. Dizzy Gillespie dubbed the title bebop. Well, I think what he was saying is the music kind of sounded like that. It was like bebop, bebop, like a kind of like an EKG. To play this music, we have to do a swing feel. It's a triplet feel. So the 8th note is treated like trippa, la, trippa, la, trippa, la. When you do this, and the idea is to kind of bebop around like a helix, but the melody you create is a straight line. Kind of see how that works. So let's say we have 4 beats to do our chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So I'm just playing a D minor 7 arpeggio. Nice and simple. Now I'm going to play a G7 arpeggio right here. This is the 5 chord, and then one chord would be right here. So technically that's a 2-5-1, right? And that's what we're trying to work on, is playing their 2 5s. Music school, they're like, you got to learn your 2 5s. So if I do this, that's the exercise. It doesn't really sound musical yet, but you can see how that's going to lead to something. So here's the 2 chord. I'm playing this arpeggio based off my 2nd finger. I can play them off of any finger, and that's something to also work on, is to learn your arpeggios across the entire guitar neck. Ultimately, you want to be able to do that. Minor, actually this key, sorry, minor, dominant, and major. The 3 types of 7th chords are minor, major, minor, and dominant, and you want to learn those. There are a couple lessons on this channel talking about major, minor, and dominant chords and guide tones. The 3rds and the 7ths are going to dictate whether it's major, minor, or dominant. There's a few lessons about that. You definitely want to check that out. The 2 chord is minor, the 5 chord is dominant, and 1 chord is major. Now they can all be dominant. That's for a different lesson as well. But at the moment, we're making this kind of simple. 2, 5, 1. So what we're going to do is be able to play through this measure, but we have to make it fit. So we're going to play some passing tones as well. They're kind of like connective tissue. They go in between the notes. So if I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, I put that extra note in, which is the flat 9 of G. And by doing that, I'm able to connect one chord to another. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that time I want to step half step above. It's called an appoggiatura, or a neighboring tone. And then I did a triplet at the end because I felt like doing a triplet. So that sounds kind of like this. I played the 6th chord at the end, just out of almost out of muscle memory, actually. So you can start playing jazz by connecting these positions together. Start with only 1 octave first and just do 1 position first. And then you can stretch out to doing multiple octaves going from north to south, and then eventually start playing these across the entire guitar neck. It opens up for you. Much like when you first started doing the pentatonic scale, I'm sure that was complicated and difficult. It still may be, for me it is, I mean for everybody, but playing the different positions and piecing those together as you go up the neck. The different keys make a difference too. Right now I'm playing this in the key of C. Well, that's kind of easier for a guitar player because the key of C is kind of home base for guitar. If you do it in A flat instead, it's going to be a little more confusing. So if you look at a tune like Misty, this is a 2-5 to A flat, and then it does a 2-5 kind of to nowhere because it doesn't resolve. It would be G flat. Then it plays 1, 6, 2, 5, and again, that's rhythm changes built into the song. And there's a 2-5 again to nowhere because it goes to minor 1 to a 5. So that's a bunch of stacked 2-5s in a row. So if you're going to play over this, so I'm playing 2-5-1 licks. I'll do that very slowly for you. Here's E flat major 7. This was my B flat minor 7 chord, and here's my E 7 chord right here. So I did something like this. There's that passing tone. Passing tone to A flat major 7 down to a minor. So that's the Beatles change from major to minor right there. So it's called parallel movement. So if I go like here, there's another chord. See, there's this chord. It's right there. So you can kind of go through the chords, and they're going in order. Let's say I go down this way instead. And then B flat. Kind of forgot where I was in the song there. So that's the way you move through 2-5-1s. It's really, really fun. It's super addictive. I can see why you would want to just do this indefinitely. Like people who gave their life to playing jazz, like Charlie Parker comes to mind. They said he used to wake up under the bandstand and dust himself off from the gig from the night before and start playing again. Like he'd play till he fell asleep. Probably didn't take care of his body at all and beat himself up pretty badly. But he was like dedicated to learning how to do these progressions and move through these. There's a lot more to it, of course, but this is to get started playing through 2-5-1 progressions. I will say, however, just quickly here, something I call the Satin Doll effect. So Satin Doll is a little tougher to play over because it goes 2 to 5 in the same measure. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you have to switch faster. So you can't play 4 eighth notes for each measure. You have to play 2. So it might be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you have less time to do it. So the idea there is to do a variation on a theme. So the different angle there. So you kind of like do a variation, flip it around the other way so it doesn't sound like you're doing the same riff twice. Even the tune itself does that. It does like a variation on that theme. So that's kind of the way 2-5-1s work. Quickly here, let's play over Autumn Leaves for a moment. That's what I started the video with. It's A minor 7 to D7 to G major 7 to C major 7. So that's going to be a 2-5-1 in the key of G to C major 7, which is the 4 chord. And then it plays a minor 2-5. I'm playing an augmented chord here. And then on the real book, it's actually an E minor 6 chord there at the end. And so the minor 2-5 is a whole different animal. That's something else to learn further down the road to be able to navigate these minor 2-5-1s. But here we go. I'm going to play over this for a second. And I'm going to make it really, really obvious what I'm doing so you can see how I would navigate this tune if I were playing this and it was moving along here. So there's the, I'll start at the beginning here and I'll play just the arpeggios first. Check it out. I'm going to go like this. That note. So I go 1, 2, and 3, and 4. See, I'll do that very slowly again. I'm playing A minor 7, D7, G dominant 7, C major 7's here. And I played a diminished chord over that chord, and I'm going to play some kind of B7 over this one, and I can connect them together. That's major 7, my fault. Let's do it up here. So you can see that it's a whole lot of fun to do this. So practice your 2-5s and start simple and build from there. All right, thank you so much for checking out today's lesson. I hope you had fun learning about 2-5-1s. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll catch you at the next lesson.